Okay, let's see what we got. Maybe. I'm crossing my fingers. Is this what's gonna work? Is this gonna
As
take us
it
to the
is,
promised land? Huh? Yeah.
it says so.
Oh, okay. Let's see, YouTubey. Live on YouTube. Oh, streaming on YouTube. So people are gonna hear me saying YouTubey. Great. Awesome. Yes. You know what? Usually we do these lives on Facebook, so this live on YouTube. Okay. Oh, what's that? Okay, so yeah, we're live and direct. Live and direct. So, Carmel, what we got today, man? What are we talking to people about today?
Yeah, this is about the other half of the equation.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
Well,
Yeah.
we've been talking a lot about the thinking brain and the left brain, and a lot of what's written and how it's written is through a thinking style. Communication is done through thinking, and we neglect to communicate with half of how people think and function when we bypass or skip the feeling side of the brain, the right side of the brain. I find that most of the time when I see either couples struggling to communicate or leaders and bosses with feeling type people, they just keep doing this in their conversation, and they both walk away frustrated and empty.
Well, keep doing what? What do you mean? Like,
Well, the thinking person stays to how they think. They want statistics, data, information, specifics. And the
okay.
feeling person is trying to look at the big picture. They're trying to make sure that they are connected in the relationship, that we're connected as people first on a feeling side. I feel included. You know, that's often a term that they use. Or I'm, and I'll use some different languages. I feel separate.
Okay.
All right.
Got you, man. So because there's that disconnection of language, then it's like, okay, there's a separation, what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah. And we struggle a lot in our communication in the first place. Now more than any time in my life. And so this is a tool to understand that half of the world's population, and I mean half, men and women, half men, half of the women, are feeling orientated. They can still be thinking and do analytical and balance their checkbook and do detailed kind of things, except their primary way to show up in the world, their primary way to function is through their feeling brain, through their feeling functions.
Half the population you're saying is like this.
Yes.
Okay. So they operate from the feeling perspective. So like when it comes to the feeling perspective though, like so what I'm hearing you say, like all that means is like for half the population, they may be communicating in a way that's completely off for others understanding them.
Yeah. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
So and I'll let you figure out which is which. So the boss is there at work, the manager, and the employee comes in on a Monday morning, and the employee says, "So how was your weekend?" Or if they knew there was something wrong with one of your kids or your dog, they say, "So how's your dog? Is your dog feeling better?" And the manager, operating from the other side of the brain, says, it's 8:05. Let's go. We got things to do. We got things to get done. So that's a typical conversation that would happen between a thinking manager or boss and a feeling oriented employee.
Okay. I got you. I got what you're saying. And like, why, for those that are watching this and those that watch this, one of the reasons why we're talking, why this is important is because this is in alignment with, if this is the first video you're seeing of ours, like we're talking about the right side of the brain because we just spoke about the left side of the brain on Monday. And the left side of the brain, as Carmel mentioned, is that thinking brain. So why is this important? Well, because this is Carmel. There's a couple key words, and I don't know who caught it that's listening. He said a lot of feels, right, when he was talking about the right side of the brain, right? And the right side of the brain is that feeling brain, right? It's like, and it's what some people will call, or some people have yet to dive a lot into, is the emotional body, right? Tapping into the emotional body. And this is part of why we're talking about this. This is in the 4th session of our course, Change Your Words, Change Your Life. And the key thing why we talk to this is because, as Carmel was mentioning, like, look, even in a simple work conversation, like, hey, how's your dog feel? The boss would be like, man, you're 5 minutes late. Shut up. Get to your desk. Okay? And so this is where there's a connection piece. And it's interesting, Carmel, because when we were talking about this beforehand, I'm recognizing that there's either that connection piece from the person that's more right-brained, right? So like, I want to get connection. How's your dog feeling? And then there's that other part where if now my boss is like, well, don't worry about it. Get yourself back to your desk. You're 5 minutes late. Now the person that's right-brained is like, see how much work I do for that cat. I don't trust him at all. I'm trying to get to know him, and look at what he's doing. Jerk off. So last time I talked to you and asked you about your dog, I don't even like dogs. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, but this is what happens, Carmel. I think you'll put it in this space. This is one of the reasons I'm so passionate, and you're so like, I know your passion thrives, because this is the common stuff that's going on that's creating this disconnection. And people are like, I have no idea why we don't get along. I have no idea why my boss doesn't like me and is always telling me I'm late. Most of the time, it's like our feeling brain may have us missing where we can connect. It's the same thing with the thinking brain, though, right, Carmel?
Totally.
Because it's like we talk, for those that are watching this for the first time, Carmel and I are talking in our last video, which is on our Facebook page, Core Language. Look, we talked about that left brain is analytical. I want the who, what, where, when, and why. I'm free of caring about the sensations around it. Give me the facts. So I think, like, so Carmel, tell me, let's dive into part of when we were talking about this and really giving the summary. We talked about, like, when it comes to connection, what are the qualities of connection, first of all, right? Like, so from a right brain perspective, like when we talk about the connection piece, what are some characteristics, or what are some things that a person may want to experience that's more right brain, like, or high brain, we call it in the course.
Yeah. As a feeling, coming from the feeling side of the brain, I want to feel valued. I want to feel included. I want to feel that there's appreciation and value for me as a person. And then there's the importance of the task or the job to do or whatever. The thinking person wanting to get it done, and the organizing person wanting to get it right, still a thinking way of operating, is concerned with the task.
Right.
And when I get that message, what I feel is insignificant. I feel like an object. I feel like a peon if I'm working for you. I feel expendable, right?
Right.
And you're going to probably, intentionally or otherwise, get a fraction of the work out of the feeling half of your job force if I neglect to pay attention to how they function.
That's deep. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that, like, those things that we talked about, right? Like the feelings. So I noticed you mentioned like feeling of value, right? So I want us to
that's
bring
worth.
up something.
Yeah, that's worth.
Okay.
I'll feel worth, and you know, when you were little, when you got praise or you got a hug as a feeling type, that in itself was a reward. That was like, yeah. And the thinking side, I need the plaque.
Gotcha.
Or the corner office or whatever. And the truth is, some of the most loyal people will come from the feeling side.
Yeah, this is true. What I'm thinking though is yes, like the loyal people come from that side. I think for me, again, thinking I'm a right brain guy, one of the things that I learned from our mentor is something called a feeling thought merger, which in language, this we touched on this more in the course, and in language, that can create confusion. And to be specific, what this may sound like, this feeling thought merger, or this failure to distinguish between like what is a feeling, what is a thought. The sentence may go like, I feel like, or to have a complete sentence, I feel like you don't appreciate me. I feel like I'm not valued here. Now, the thing is this is a thought. This is someone that's right brain. And now all of a sudden, they're trying to get a thought across rather than saying how they feel and then their thoughts. So an example could be, I feel sad thinking that you have yet to value my contribution to this team. Now I hit you with the double whammy there, peoples. Okay, I hit you with the reframe for the thinking, for the feeling thought merger, and I hit you with the reframe that's free of knots. Okay, you want to rewind that and listen to it again. I forgot what I said already.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, the one that's coming up right, the same thing is I feel confused.
Right. What feeling is confused?
It's actually, I would like more clarity.
That's a thought.
It's a thought.
Right? Like, yeah, and that's the thing. Carmel, this is the thing I really appreciate that we're able to relay to people, right? Is that for us to change our life, people will think of, I need to do some grandiose thing, like lose 100 pounds, or I need to get this job, or I need to make this amount of money. And really what can happen is us changing our life can be as minute as us shifting some words in our language. Shifting the words. Now, Carmel, one of the things, but for people watching, Carmel and I, listen, we can go off the cuff, and we like to prepare, all right? Because that's how we do, all right? So we had some notes about this, and we talked about the qualities of connection, right? And I think like one of the things that we're talking, like one of the things that contributes to what we're talking about here is what we're talking about are these feeling thought mergers of distrust, right? And this is, and what can come from this distrust is when we have a lack of, or we have yet to figure out how we communicate our feelings and then what we're thinking because of them, right? Instead, we're going to shut down and be like, I feel like I'm not being heard. I don't trust this situation. And really the feeling behind that is it could be sadness, it could be anger, it could be shame, it could be guilt, it could be fear, it could be emotions like that. And here's the kicker, people. Carmen, what happened? Well, actually, what's the benefit? I'm curious to know your thoughts on this because I've heard them before and I want people to hear. I'm curious to know your benefit, what you perceive as the benefit to people really starting to buckle and hunker down into what they are really feeling.
Yeah. Most of the time, we're guessing. When we're unable to label the feelings and emotions, mm-hmm. and we're mixing them up with thoughts, mm-hmm. then it's the other person has to guess. They have to try to discern it, sort it through the maze and come out with, oh, they're feeling fear. Or, oh, they're feeling angry. Okay. I think I'm unclear. I'm going to go with that one. And so when I make those assumptions, oftentimes it's a pure guess. I'm incorrect. And that's why you hear people that are in conflict or they're struggling to communicate. They get to the end of the conversation and go, how did we get here? We're so far apart. I don't even understand what this argument was about.
Man, language. So here's the thing, people. When we start to dive in, the reason why we've talked about this a couple of times, and to really bring the point home, is when we start to connect with language, it's a connection to what's really happening inside of ourselves. Because we operate in different ways. We operate in different roles, a lot of times based on the situation. And, one of the things that Carmel blessed me with, I don't even know how long it's been since I took my core map. We'll talk some more about what a core map is. It's basically for simpler terms or for universal resonance, it's like an assessment. How are you? What traits do you have? And I think it's important for people to understand that when we are working from different parts of ourselves, parts of our brains in this case, there's certain types of communication that's needed to either relay who we are and what we're thinking effectively, and also to hear and gain clarity with efficiency. So when Carmel and I are talking, if I hear him say some things, I can understand like, okay, I'm going to put what I'm feeling aside and base what Carmel needs with clear, concise data. Clean. And Carmel, when he's talking to me, if he's got to communicate, he'll be, and I say, man, I feel such and such. Carmel will know, okay. Rather, I'm going to put aside my analytical thinking mind and I'm going to come to a place of feeling, hey, Paul, Tell me more about how you're feeling. What can I do to support you? See, all these different things, these are what we learn, right? This is what you're going to be able to teach yourself when you take this course. Now, the thing that I want to touch on is part of this right brain is we talked about connection distrust, but and it's about what is getting along, right? What is connection, right? And what does it mean to be seen and heard? Like what can that really look like? And that's found in the right brain, right, Carmel? I mean, I think that would probably be a good place to start to explore, find what that looks like for people. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. The feelings come from signals. They come from the signals in our gut. You know, emotional intelligence. We get to learn those signals in our body, our chest, or our neck muscles, and we sense things. We use our 5 physical senses, and we interpret that as communication. That's part of communication. Facial expressions, micro expressions, looking someone in the eye as opposed to continuing to look down when you're talking to them, or look away when you're talking to them, or they stay on their phone and you're trying to have a conversation. That's the most common one right now. The feeling person, I get a message. I get a feeling in my gut that anything on that screen is of higher significance than I am.
Woof. Woof. Yeah. Let me tell you, man. This right here, this is science. This is science. And it's funny, where I just went is I was thinking about this conversation I had today when we were talking. And actually, Carmel, you know, you really like this dude, Cody Israel. He's a neuroscientist, young cat, full of energy. And he was talking about, you know, Paul, he's like, I really got amped up and excited about neuroscience because, like, everybody thinks it's like a bunch of woo-woo with the mantras and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, you know, I could show data of how the brain starts to shift and change when we start to make these little itty-bitty differences and changes over a certain amount of days. And then after a certain amount of days, then this happens, this arm, this branch. And how he's explaining it, I mean, he does a much better job of explaining it than I could give it justice. And what he's saying is that over time, by us continuing to get our reps and make shifts and changes, we can realistically and legitimately change our brain chemistry, change our brain pathways. What does that have to, what is that? So what's the benefit in that? Carmel, you want to give a couple things and I'll give a couple, or we probably have the same. We'll see.
Yeah. What he's talking about is neuroplasticity.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
And the neuroplasticity of the brain is really only discovered in the late 90s. And it's incredible. One of the brain books that I read, they could use a microprobe, and they found in the brain a section for each of the 5 fingers.
I remember you telling me about this one. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they attached them, and they went back, and they found there was only one section because the brain only needed to operate one thing. So those 5 sections of the brain compressed into one smaller section because that's all the brain needed. So immediately in 2 weeks rewired itself, structurally changed. Then they separated them again and went back and used the microprobe and found 5 sections again. The brain replaced and recreated 5 sections in the brain for those 5 individual moving functions in weeks.
I believe it.
And when I hear people say, I can't change, or I can't talk differently, or I can't do something differently, or I can't understand, what they're really saying is, I won't.
Because it's really a willingness. They gotta be willing to change and shift. If you're unwilling, then
you're right. You can't.
Right, you can't. This is really, I'm thinking, and I'm my mind is racing. I don't know if it's because of the nap, or I don't know if it's maybe a part of me is still sleeping and in another realm. But I'm in this space of this brain science and of the left and right brain, and the differences that a person can make in their relationships by having this knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
It's nuts, man. It's nuts. I'm really excited to guide others, again, so they can teach themselves about how to use these tools for their specific life situations. Because people, I'm telling you, I don't know, Carmel. Sometimes I'm like, it's sometimes like having this knowledge, I do think I'm like, man, I can hear people's mindset in their words.
Totally.
It's so interesting, right? And it's a lot of and it's why it comes to mind is recently leading this team on something that was uncertain, something that's unfamiliar, something that's going to require going into unknown. I could hear in the language, them being in their feeling brain and going into their thinking brain for the worst case scenario.
Oh yeah.
So, just to give an example, what the heck that looks like in action. So they'll feel fear. Then they'll tap into their thinking brain to figure out the scenarios from that fear. Okay. Now notice I didn't say the negative scenarios. I said scenarios. Because really what it's based on is what's happening in the feeling brain. If I'm going to look for scenarios based on an emotion or based on a feeling, then chances are my perception or in my thinking brain, I'm going to collect the data that's going to support that feeling. Right? Especially if I'm unaware of what the feeling is, like, okay, like I'm pissed off, or I'm scared of this. I'm going to go in, I'm scared of it. And when we try to rationalize that higher mind or that executive brain, it's going to find ways to keep us safe.
Yeah. So, and that happens a lot. When you ask a feeling person, so what's your goal? And they have to give you a specific goal. It's to make $1 million, or it's to, do whatever, drive a BMW, or drive a, this kind of SUV and have a house and these kind of things. Those are great goals for the thinking side.
Right.
And if I'm coaching with someone, and I know I'm working with someone who's predominantly feeling, and we go back and forth, which is what you were saying a minute ago. We're a combination, right?
Yeah.
Being aware of where I'm at right now. If I want to set a goal with someone over here who's really struggling with goal setting and connection and direction, I'll say, what do you want your life to feel like? well, I want to feel content, and I want to feel connected, and I want to feel happy, and I want to. So what's happy feel like? What are you doing when you're happy? Well, I'm spending time with my kids, or I'm going on hikes, or for me it's going kayaking. It's that experience is where, as opposed to the accomplishment. I'm a feeling person is more experience based.
Okay.
And the thinking person is more accomplishment based, task based.
Yes. Yes.
So being aware of that can really open up those conversations, but mostly in relationships.
So something that I'm sorry. Go ahead, Cameron. Let me cut you off, man.
Yeah. So often I'll work with couples, and the man will say in his job is very thinking oriented, and anticipates that the woman is more feeling operated, the mom, and she does the feeling stuff of take care of the kids, nurture their emotional well-being, blah 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 blah. And when they do their core maps and they find out that they're actually, he's more feeling based and was conditioned to be the thinking leader, and she's actually more thinking based as opposed to nurturing sometimes being difficult or a challenge, and she ends up getting walked on or taken advantage of. And really when they get a chance to say, oh, just because I'm the man isn't necessarily mean I'm thinking focused or oriented, and just because I'm the woman isn't saying specifically that I'm only feeling. That sometimes those roles are reversed. And I've seen relationships that 20 years, a couple that was divorced twice in over 20 years, back together again, finally figured out, oh, this is where we are. And
yeah,
the whole thing changed overnight after 20 years of trying to get
going
their
back
needs
and
met
forth
from the opposite side of who they were.
Right.
It's super amazing how this can have a long, deep effect in everything we do.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's powerful business. And something I want to relate to the people watching this is, you made it sound really easy when you ask someone what they want and they say, I want this, because going back to our first session and what we talk about in the first session of the course is about knots, or knot configuration. And traditionally, asking someone, what I found anyway, I don't know how this is for everybody else, but what I found is that asking someone, what do you want? One of the first things that comes out of their mouth is, I don't want. Okay? I don't want. And what we're looking to see here is, or I don't feel. I don't want to feel this. Rather than I want to feel. This is the exploration, people, because we've traditionally, that I've found anyway, myself included, will live from the not configurations, thinking that people will understand. Well, like, for example, and one of my favorite examples, like, I don't want to be in a bad relationship. I don't want to feel abandonment. Well, guess what's going to happen? You're most likely going to feel abandonment, and you're going to be in a poor relationship. Once we start to identify what you do want, I want to be in a relationship. Okay, what kind of relationship? I want to be in a relationship that has me feeling loved. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. And by the way, where do you feel that love? Oh, I feel it all in my chest cavity. Great. Now we did a couple of things. We took the feeling of that right brain, and then we connected it to our physical body. What are we feeling inside, right? Now there's a connection here. Now from here, we can go freaking, hey, I'm feeling this. And now this has me thinking this. Left brain goodness. And this is a lot along the lines of what we're guiding others to. collaboration and connection between two opposites. I mean, we're talking about brain. Listen, the brain is in here in my cranium. Those are really close roommates for a lifetime. They gotta get along, man. They got to. Right? So listen, this is what we're teaching in the class. This is session 4, talking about the right brain, the feeling side. And this class, when we talk about what we're looking to accomplish here, I mean, like, this is looking over the characteristics of what it takes to get along and be seen. And then the real breakthrough that we're looking for others to accomplish here is about creating authentic connection and trust. How many people out there watching this want that? You, all of you over here? Great. So you can take this course. All right. I'm going to leave in the comments. Go to wordsmatter1.eventbrite.com. Sign up, and then in the coupon code, enter take 25. Take 25. Okay. This class is an investment in this course is an investment in yourself, your relationships, your career, your life. Change your words to change your life. Carmel, man, before we wrap up, man, any goodness you want to share with the peoples about today's topic or in general?
Yeah, absolutely. How will this change? How could this change your life? If you look at what keeps you isolated or frustrated or feeling alone or unappreciated, really what's occurring is we have yet to learn how to connect. And one of our primal needs beyond food, water, and security is belonging. And this is how we learn to find that community, to find that partner where we belong. Because what I do want is I want to belong. I want to have a sense of trust. I want to have a sense that I'm valued, that I matter. And that's what belonging, that's the higher level of belonging. And to me, that's the fertile field where my potentials, where my dreams can shoot up, where my possibilities of what I can create in this lifetime can grow.
Hallelujah. I love this topic, please. Anyway, I don't know. So anyway, listen, Carmel, it's always a pleasure, man. I love doing this with you, man. I'm excited for what we're bringing to the people. I'm excited for people to show up and be a part of this. This is going to be an amazing thing that we're doing, man. So, yeah, thank you. For those that are watching, tuning in, thank you. We are so grateful. We are so grateful. We appreciate you. Thanks for being here with us. Invest in yourself and invest in this course. I'm telling you, this course right here, I'm going to tell you, you're going to be something different by the end of this.
Yep. In a good way.
A very good way. I'll say in a more resonant and aligned way. Because good, that could be an inference. I'm going to say in an aligned way. It's going to shift you. And there's going to be support. I'm just letting you know, there is going to be support from Carmel and I afterwards to, again, ensure that you're able to apply this to your life situation and circumstance. So let's ride.
And it'll be fun too. It'll be fun.
Yes.
It's other than serious and heavy, There'll be some laughter and some fun and some feedback and some play. And then the other thing that we do uniquely is you'll throw out, as one of the participants, as one of the learners, you'll throw out the statement that causes you uncomfort or struggle, and then we'll work with that. And we're going to also give you some little things to do in between classes so that you're learning and growing just by breathing throughout the week and looking at your phone and keeping little tabs of things. And then we're going to work with you. So it's very interactive throughout the whole 5 sessions, that makes learning an adventure. It makes learning something to do together, as opposed to what I remember learning in school was torture. So I'm out.
That's crazy.
I'll see y'all Monday.
You got it, man. See you, Carmel.